The story begins in the middle of a storm inside the protagonist's home where everything that once felt safe now feels foreign. The air is heavy, not because of weather, but because of the words that were just spoken. The father's voice trembles with rage as he demands access to the inheritance. The mother sits silently, eyes narrowed, pretending to be hurt while manipulating the situation in her favor. The protagonist, still grieving the recent loss of the grandmother who raised them with warmth and love, feels the room closing in. The smell of coffee and paper mixes with tension as the lawyer's letter trembles in their hands. It says clearly that the grandmother left everything to her grandchild, $28 million, trust funds, property, investments, and memories. The family that once gave comfort now stares with hunger in their eyes. The story rewinds slightly, describing the quiet bond between grandchild and grandmother. The grandmother was not just wealthy, she was wise, humble, and kind. She taught lessons about people's true nature and warned that love mixed with greed becomes poison. Her death had been peaceful but left a hole that nothing could fill. The funeral was crowded with fake condolences, but the protagonist noticed how the parents' eyes shifted from tears to curiosity when the lawyer's car arrived. In that moment, the audience feels something ominous, an unspoken shift from mourning to greed. The reading of the will happens inside a polished law office filled with mahogany furniture and faint echoes of ticking clocks. The lawyer's tone is calm, but every word changes the air in the room. You, he says softly, looking at the protagonist, are the sole beneficiary of your grandmother's estate. Silence. Then the mother's forced smile cracks. The father's face reddens. The audience can hear the faint rustle of papers, the quickening of breath, and the disbelief in the room. The protagonist doesn't know what to feel: grief, confusion, fear. They expected nothing, but suddenly everything changed. The days that follow are cold and distant. The parents begin calling constantly, pretending to worry but asking about bank transfers and signatures. They say things like, "You're too young to handle this responsibility," or, "Your grandmother would have wanted us to guide you." Their voices drip with false kindness, and each conversation feels like a trap. The protagonist tries to remain polite, but every visit turns into interrogation. One night, the father bursts into the house uninvited, demanding access to documents. He slams his hand on the table, accusing the child of selfishness. The mother cries fake tears in the corner. The tension rises, the audience feels the suffocating pressure of being surrounded by people who claim to love you but only see dollar signs. Then comes the breaking point. The protagonist receives a message from the lawyer warning that someone tried to access the estate account. The parents have already made moves behind the scenes, pretending to be legal guardians and contacting banks. That's when something inside the protagonist hardens. Grief turns into resolve. They stop answering calls, lock away all papers, and call the lawyer for help. He advises patience, promising to handle everything. Meanwhile, the parents start spreading rumors, telling neighbors that their child is unstable, ungrateful, or manipulated. The isolation grows, but so does the determination to fight back. The revenge starts quietly, not with shouting, but with silence. The protagonist gives the lawyer permission to act fully on their behalf. The lawyer files a legal motion protecting all assets and sends a formal warning to the parents' attorney. When the parents receive the letter, they panic. They try to confront their child again, demanding explanations. The scene is intense, voices rise, threats are made, and the father says the cruelest words of all: "You wouldn't have anything if it weren't for us." The protagonist, trembling but calm, answers, "That's where you're wrong. Everything I have came from her love, not your greed." The moment is powerful and quiet. The father stares, speechless, realizing for the first time that he has no control left. The lawyer arrives soon after with 2 police officers. He serves them papers that cut them off from any access or claim. The mother's tears this time are real, not from guilt, but from fear. The father shouts, demanding to know how this could happen. The lawyer, with perfect calm, replies that the grandmother had foreseen their greed years ago. She had placed strict legal protections to prevent exactly this situation. Every attempt they made was recorded and will now be investigated for fraud. The parents' power collapses in real time. Their faces drain of color as they realize the walls are closing in. In the following weeks, peace slowly returns. The protagonist visits the grandmother's grave, bringing a single white rose. The narration softens, showing reflection rather than rage. They speak quietly to the stone, saying thank you for both the gift and the lesson. They have learned that love without trust is empty, and family without respect is dangerous. The revenge wasn't about destroying anyone, it was about reclaiming peace. The audience feels a deep emotional release as the protagonist walks away from the grave, the wind calm, the pain replaced by quiet strength. Time passes. The parents face legal and social consequences. Their community sees their true faces. They lose the respect they once demanded. The protagonist, now stronger and independent, uses part of the inheritance to start a foundation in the grandmother's name, one that helps people facing manipulation and abuse from family. It's poetic justice. The revenge is not shouted, it is lived. The final image is powerful: freedom, growth, and gratitude. The story closes with the protagonist's voice soft and firm. I thought I lost everything when she died, they say, but she left me something more powerful than money. She left me the strength to stand alone. The audience feels satisfaction, a deep sense of closure. The camera fades to black as calm music plays, signaling that sometimes revenge isn't fire and fury, it's peace after chaos.